Hello one and all, and welcome to another episode of Nana Williams in Depth. I'm of course your host Friendly Tree, and today I want to talk to you about Shamrock. Once again, I need to stress, make sure your settings are all as you want. The only thing I'm going to change is removing the health gauge today, otherwise I'm happy with everything I've got. You just don't want to have any misinformation. Oh, actually we're going to change this too, so we're going to go guard all as the second thing, and stand. Wake up backward to start. Shamrock, there we go, quarter circle forward 4, 2, 3, move number 81 in the move list. Why is it called Shamrock? I don't know any reason based on the animation, but Shamrock is of course just an Irish thing. They talk about kissing the shamrock for good luck, and that does definitely resonate with me and how I use this move, as I get a lot of lucky wins based on people being button happy and getting hit by this. So the move itself, it's a knee, punch, kick. You can see here it's a mid knee into a high punch into a high kick. You'll see this move a lot in combos, but the two hits themselves, well, the first hit itself is +6 on hit, -8 on block, and does 15 damage. You can also see it's 14 frame startup, but it comes from a quarter circle forward, meaning you've got down, forward, forward is the input. So the fastest this move can come out is 16 frames. As well as that, we can do it from forward sway moves, but we're limited based on the startup timing, so the timing on that's a bit irrelevant. It's just whether or not it's jab interruptible or not. You can see it's the same speed as a quarter circle forward 1, so it means it'll catch people pressing buttons or trying to duck as a mix up with quarter circle forward 1 if you don't want to do while standing 1 there. The second hit is of course a high that comes out in 18 frames after the first hit, meaning there is time to react to that and duck. But you can see it keeps them floated, and this allows for follow-ups. Depending on the character you're versing, you have to do different follow-ups. We'll go into that a bit later. On block, first hit's -8 like I said, second hit is -9, so it's still safe. And the third hit is a big kick, sending them flying and doing 11 damage because it's unscaled, or because it's scaled at 50%. So it'll be 22 damage on its own there, 23 damage, or even better. You can see it's not a natural combo here, the last 2 hits, unless it's a counter hit. And of course the whole thing, because you make them airborne after the first hit, and then the punch keeping them up, the whole thing is a natural combo as long as the first hit connects. The final hit is -10, but you can see the pushback, so if we try and punish that, we're really going to struggle. Some characters in some situations may be able to punish it, but they're not going to get much, and it's not going to be consistent. Yeah, so like a Gigas or a Jack will be able to punish that. So be careful using this with your back to the wall, but at the same time, you advance so far forward doing that move that the likelihood is that you're not going to get ball splat. What else about the move? Let's look at range. So of course it's a quarter circle forward move, which means you can do it and you can delay the input a lot, so you can really manipulate the range as you like. So you could do it from about range just before range 3 and get it to connect, but if you're doing it up close, we're looking at about range 2.2. Yeah, range 2.2 is if you do it instantly. Yeah. But you're not going to be using this move in the neutral very often, at least I wouldn't expect people to. You might, because if you're versing someone who can't duck it, then it's a different story. It's very strong. As a safe 16 frame launcher, 16 frame mid launcher. Okay, and what about tracking? Because tracking is always a big one. This move, you can see, because it is her right leg, it does actually catch the opponent's sidestep left very well, like that. So as her knee comes out, you're going to find it catches them very well. Yeah. So it pretty much tracks sidestep left. Sidestep right's a different story, but it's still pretty consistent. If you do it instantly, it's not going to be that great. Oops. Depending on the frames. But that's where the delay comes in, because you can just delay it by a fraction, and then it works. Oops. How am I doing that? Boom. Yeah, so because you can delay the input, it's pseudo tracking because of that delay. And this move, when I say pseudo tracking, the other thing I should point out is that there's that very well known setup now when the opponent tech rolls to their left and they get hit first. So for example, we do this, and we can make it so it catches the opponent from the other side. So pseudo tracking, because you do the delay there, you can get it to actually track around 180 degrees, which is pretty incredible, isn't it? What else do we need to talk about with properties with this? I mentioned that you can do it from forward sway cancels, so anything that you can do a forward sway cancel from. But more often than not, you're going to see it in combos because it's a very high damage, long range combo ender. More often than not, I'm going to see it in things like quarter-circle forward 1 combos, which if you don't drop, look cool. Oops, sorry, I'm doing that last one too early, or too late. Things like that. So that looks cool. You're also going to probably notice that if I do something, I think this works actually. If I do a combo like that, yeah, the last hit whiffs if I'm on the right axis. This move is more consistent on the left axis. Like that. So that last hit will hit more consistently if you're on the left axis. So that's important to keep in mind with tailoring your combos. I don't think there are any other properties that we really need to go through for the introduction, so how about we go on to application. So how do we apply Shamrock? That's up to you, and it's up to what your opponent is capable of. I said how it has the links to the Irish, the beliefs of the good luck and everything, and I've mentioned that I use it a lot at the end of a match as a super high risk option. I do it because I anticipate that the opponent is going to stop or step after the high and get hit by that kick. And I've got so many wall splats to that and so many wins that are undeserved because the opponent could just duck, but they try and challenge your move in some way, and suddenly I've got a wall splat, I've got a nearly half-life combo from it. So I wouldn't strongly recommend doing that, but it is a good idea to test the waters at some point during a match, just see if they're familiar with the string, and if they try and challenge after that. Even though it's -9, I've had a lot of people actually successfully punish me after that, and I'm going to blame online for that. So keep that in mind, that a lot of people do seem to think that that's unsafe on its own. So if you do that a few times during the match and they don't duck, but they try and punish, you can think, oh great, well later on in the match I can maybe throw this out. But if you see them duck, if they launch you once for that, I would not use it again in a situation outside of a combo or a mix-up. I talked about the application with regards to the combo before, so first off let's just talk about what we can do as a launcher. After it as a launcher, sorry. Let's see what we can do as a wall carry. So for example, I showed this, and I showed that I can't get it to work there unless I sidestep left instead of sidestepping right. And even then, look at that, it was a bit tricky. Yeah. Wow, I'm lucky I got it to work on the first go before, aren't I? Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Yeah, so you need to make sure you got the range right with it. And part of that is maybe delaying the input. So I do like a dash there, and I'm doing it a bit too fast there. Yeah, never mind. But there are other combo routes that people do more consistently. Like you could do that. And that links very easily after a while standing 1. So what I'm doing there is I'm doing a down forward 3-2 back, down forward 3-2, side step 1, back, down back 2, run up while standing 1, quarter circle forward 4-2-3. That's pretty good damage. It's not optimal, and a lot of the time you're not going to find the combos that you do with this are optimal. But I quite like doing it in situations like after a back one. You can do this combo, and on that axis you can get that to connect. Look, that's 59 damage. That's not bad, is it? Because you're not going to be able to go for the while standing one loops in this situation. And with the exception of going for like the OTG stuff, which is a bit finicky anyway. Yeah. With the exception of going for that, you're not going to get much more damage on that axis. So it's unless you're on a closer axis where you can actually tell and do something different. Otherwise, you're going to be getting... So it's axis dependent, but if you're doing it in a situation like that, that's really the best I'd go for, or the most consistent thing I'd go for. Like I mentioned before, you can do it off the quarter circle forward 1 combos, and you don't drop those. Let's just do this one for the sake of the video, and you can actually do a quarter circle forward 1 there. I think you need to be slightly off axis. Okay, never mind. Either way, you can do that. And that's pretty good damage and good wall carry. Speaking of wall carry, let's go to that soon, but I've got some more application I need to talk about. Let's talk about this cross up mid-screen. So there are a couple of situations where if the opponent quick rolls left, you can get a cross up. So after a tail spin, you can do a run up quarter circle forward 1, and what you do is you do the quarter circle forward, so it's a dash quarter circle forward, and as you see Nina bob down, I press the 4. Yeah, so it's as you see her bob down, you see it. You can also do it off like a forward 2. I'm not very good at this one, the timing's a bit different. Come on, tree. Ah. I think you do it faster in this one. No? Let's do it slower. Yeah, slower. Okay, you do it slower in this one. You sort of do a max sway. Ah. Yeah. So there are different knockdown situations where you can get this, but the most common one we see is, doesn't really matter how many hits, so you can do dun, dun, ah, dun, 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 dun. Ah. Let's do this one. Why'd I do 2? Run up that. Ah. Screw it. Run up, do that, and then stuff up the input. How did I? Oh my god. Okay guys, let's keep a clear mind. There we go. And that works on both sides, by the way, so see, totally works. Normally you go side stick right anyway, but doesn't matter. So I'm doing that a bit slow now. I'm doing that with the forward 2 timing. Come on. There we go. Yeah. So after you do a while standing 1 in a combo, you can do that, which is pretty scary. Before we go to a wall stage, you talk about the wall stuff for this move, because there's a lot there. Let's look at the combos you can get off it. So generally what you do a quarter circle forward 4-2, and you're going to find that most things aren't going to connect and give you a great combo. So generally what people do is like a down forward 1, down forward 3-2, stuff like that, which is still pretty good damage. But yeah, you're going to find, because of the axis and everything, you're not going to get anything too great there. But yeah, you can get it down a 3 there, but it's a bit finicky to get anything good after it. So generally the options people go for would be down forward 1 into something. So you could do like a down forward 1-2. No, you can't, never mind. Down forward 1, down forward 3, 2, forward sway anyway. Or a down forward 1 into something, which obviously the scaling isn't good there, but there's a reason people often do down forward 1, and that is that it's the down forward 1 doesn't work on bigs. So Big Buddy Marduk here is going to demonstrate for us. He volunteered, he said he was happy to do it. So if I do this, down forward 1 doesn't work, up forward 3 doesn't work. The only thing you can consistently get is down forward 1. Pretty sure while standing 4 doesn't work either. Nah, the recovery is so weird on this move, I don't think you can do it. Nah. So against big characters, you only really get the down forward 1. And of course, because that second hit counts in the scaling and the pushback, you don't get as much as you normally would off even like that. You can already see from that Marduk's further away from this one, and it's because that counts as a hit right there, that punch. So that's quite important to keep in mind, because the last thing you want to do is verse like a Marduk or a Gigas and do this, and then suddenly you do a down forward 1 instead of that, and you don't get the combo you want. Now you can do sick stuff where you do you do multiple of those in a combo, which is cool. Yeah, so that doesn't work, and you need to be aware of that. But that's the character specific stuff. Then I should also point out quickly that you can of course do this after like a rage drive, because you do the sway and then you go into it. So that's a valid mix up with like a high, a throw, or a low. But once again, if you're doing 4-2, which I do a lot, probably shouldn't, that is risky because they can just stand block and look and duck. However, let's let's go back to Nina. I do need to point out with this something, because I've had a lot of people over to go, hey, is that guaranteed after the rage drive? And of course it's not. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? However, yikes. Let's do it on both. If I block this and I neutral guard, it breaks neutral guard. So if the opponent does not hold back, this will hit them. Yeah, so that's worth noting as well, just for when you're in the matchup. Now we shall go to the wall. And the wall is where this move really comes in. So I mentioned, of course, it's a good combo ender, and the reason for that is because it's good wall carry. It doesn't send them very high, but it sends them far, and you can still get things. You can still get most things that you do normally, but you've got to consider the range. Oops. So it's very good for wall carry, especially if you haven't done too many hits beforehand. But if you're too close, obviously you can't get anything. But that's where, I mean, you can go, oh whoops, I made a mistake, and let's go like here, and go just the 2 hits. We'll go an extra hit here, and you'll see what I mean. Oh, come on, tree. Come on, tree. Yeah, so you can still cut out that last hit and still get wall carry as long as you've got good awareness of the wall. So it's a great option for wall carry as long as you haven't done too many hits beforehand. Now if we go to the wall, this can be used for much easier cross-ups than what we were talking about before, than the mid-screen stuff. So once again, if they quick roll left, so if you see the opponent's quick rolling left a lot of people might be tapping up, so could be more common if they're on the player 1 side. You can do things like, man, easier, right? There. Okay, you know, what's my old one? It's dun, 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 sidestep up. You do a sidestep up into it instantly, and that auto times it for you. But you can also do it with a dash, I believe. Nah, it's sidestep up there. Otherwise you can do the timing, the delay of the quarter circle forward, and that'll determine what you're doing. So I definitely like the sidestep up, because then you've got that mix up there. It's quite easy to control. Like I think that one's pretty foolproof to do, and that's what I need. You can do it after other things too, but obviously the timing changes, so you just need to explore and figure out what you can do. So yeah, there you don't do any sort of sidestep up at all, because the recovery isn't good enough for you to get the sidestep up, and that'll work. After a down forward 1, sidestep up makes it more consistent, and after a while standing 4 with no delay, sidestep up. But if you do a sidestep 4 with delay, it won't work, obviously. So I think that's worth noting for mix-ups. And as I've said in other videos, you've got other options you can do to catch them if they tick the other way. So if they tick either direction, you can do this, or you've got other options you can do that can catch if they stay grounded too. So it really complements her very scary wall game. It's also a wall break, and you're going to find, so let's say that's wall breaking, 37 damage. Against a female, you can't really get this. You have to do a jab to get it to work, and that's 32 damage, 3 hits, so that's obviously better. Or you've got like this, 36 damage. If you're not going for that or that or that. So if you get them to the wall, it's a good option, and if it's a high splat, you can do like a sidestep 1 into it. I swear you can. Oh, maybe not. The other option is that, which is pretty finicky. Oh, come on, tree. Oh, come on, tree. Yeah, so you can see how that's very finicky, while that is very consistently going to work, as long as you haven't done too many hits before. So that does work on some characters, but maybe not females. Sorry. Anyway, if I get into the wall, it's usually too low, so I just go that, and that'll work if they're pretty low still. So you can quite easily do like that into that for another break, which is good. I did not think there's anything else I really need to go through with Shamrock. It's a cool move, I like it, and although risky, it can net a pretty big reward. It's also one of her auto combo things, isn't it? So if you go controller setup, if you have assist set to something, let's just go L. You go here, you can see Shamrock is pressing 3. Although you can see that also it's pretty slow. It's sort of, she does the full dash before she does it, so you don't get it instantly. So even if you've got that as an option, I'd say for timing and getting it in combos and stuff. Does that even work afterwards? Yeah, so you can't even link it after a while standing 1 there. So it's definitely not valid compared to what you'd normally do. Anyway, let's get Nina out of that wedding dress and into a catsuit, and let's go to the summary. To summarise, Nina's Shamrock, or quarter circle forward 423, is a 14 frame start locked behind a quarter circle forward input, meaning the fastest it can come out is 16 frames. You can delay the input from the quarter circle forward to modify the range of the move, and it can be used as a launcher, although risky as it's mid-high-high, or it can be used as a combo ender for wall carry, or in many situations even just for damage. It tracks relatively well to both directions, however it's better to the opponent stepping left, so better to Nina's right, due to the knee, or due to the first move being her right leg. I generally wouldn't use it out of combos, but as per the name and the link with luck, I do have a lot of success in throwing out the last string once I've already got information on the opponent. Depending on the character you're versing, you can get different combos after the second hit, but make sure you know what you can do against who. It can also be used for cross-ups, which is probably the most interesting potential of the move, where if the opponent is ticking to their left, you can catch them and reset for a combo with them not knowing which direction they're blocking. The timing can be a bit finicky, but I find you do it as Nina bobs down for that, but it depends on the move you do. Depends on what situation you're doing, of course. So some situations will be easier than others, and some situations will have more timing constraints than others. It's a good move to use, and because you can use it out of forward sway, it's a good move to use in combos, and because you can use it out of forward sway, you can even do it after things like a side step 1 or a down forward 3-2. But more often than not, you're going to be using it after a while standing 1, or just in a tailspin on its own, after a tailspin on its own. It does also cause a wall break or a balcony break, which is worth knowing, especially against the characters where you cannot do a down forward 3-2 back 1+2. Anyway, how do you guys find Shamrock? Do you have any uses for it that I haven't mentioned in this video? Please comment below and I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, I'll catch you all next time.
You win.
What's done is done.